Yeah, I mean, who were the guys that gave the thumbs up?
Siskel, right? Siskel and Ebert.
Ebert. Yeah, it's like I don't know anything about them.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Jack. This is Josh, and this is the Hope You Hate It podcast, a show about movies and TV and getting proper opinions and reviews on movies that you can rely on. I've been watching movies pretty much all of my life. I think most people these days can say that, I guess. Josh and I are both the same age. We're mid 30s. We're aging out of our cool phase into our podcast phase. We've been here for a few years. And yeah, I think both of us watch so much TV and movies on the side of like while we're actually working. We're both photographers and we do a lot of editing and we're on our computers a lot. And so we always have things playing in the background. And just obviously, we've always enjoyed that as a form of media. And I think that one of our biggest frustrations and one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to do a show like this was because of uh, I guess the fraudulence, right, of mainstream critics and reviews and the things that you see online about go watch this, don't watch that, stay away from this, but go watch this. It seems to be very skewed and easily manipulated, right?
Yeah, I mean, who were the guys that gave the thumbs up?
Siskel, right? Siskel and Ebert.
Ebert. Yeah, it's like I don't know anything about them. I don't know like how old they were. I
When they
mean, I
started.
assumed that they were like really, really old people.
Yeah.
Their names sounded like really old people. Where like with us, like we're tens. So, you
I'm,
know,
yeah,
we have pretty good taste. I mean,
that's true. A lot of good
we like
things.
chicks, we like motorcycles, cars, sea-doos, heavy metal. Um, like we're cool guys.
Cool
So I
guys.
think our opinions are pretty
That
cool.
our opinions are definitely not only highly sought after, but incredibly valid, more valid than others.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, I think that most people can agree that critics that get paid to review movies and write reviews a lot of times let that paid bias show, and you see
Yeah.
a lot of like a movie that was actually really enjoyable, but maybe didn't have the funding or the backing or didn't get that like critic wave. Will get like a terrible score on a site like IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or some of the others. Where and then the flip side of that happens where a movie that is terrible, poorly written, poorly directed, right, will get a influx of really good reviews, and then you watch it and go, what?
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, think of any of the award shows. What are they? The Emmys or
Yeah, all of those.
whatever it
The
is, like
Oscars.
yeah, that kind of stuff. It's just like I mean, you could tell that it's just that's like a whole Hollywood game of them playing with each other and doing things that it's like none. I mean, like very rarely is there ever anything that I like that makes it into any of those categories.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you have like some epic Lord of the Rings that can, squeeze in and make like
Yeah.
a best picture or something like that. But for the most part, a lot of them are just like, what is this?
Well, I
Like,
think
I don't care.
yeah, one of the biggest things that you see in those shows that I think always is rings true a lot of times is like the award for best cinematography, right, or
Hmm.
best soundtrack, things like that that are so very like they're very niche, and so they can't really get the oh well we're gonna give it to this movie like best actor because it's I don't know, Will Smith, just an example, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
was Will Smith really the best actor of the year? I mean, not to take anything away from Will Smith, but you can throw out a handful of other people that threw out amazing performances in their role that maybe
Yes.
just weren't in as popular or a one of those Hollywood cliche blockbusters, right? And so
Oh
I
yeah.
think that happens a lot. But mine and your one of our biggest gripes is Rotten Tomatoes, and I think ultimately we're going to call them out specifically, but
Yes.
sites like that are the main reason why we are always talking about whether we like this movie, this show, or not, and like staying away from what the critics say, right?
Yeah.
I know you have very strong feelings about Rotten Tomatoes
I
in
do
general.
very much. I mean, their only redeeming quality is the fact that they do put on there the viewer scores,
Yeah.
because that's the only thing that matters to me whatsoever, is if people. But then again, have you ever gone on Rotten Tomatoes and gone, "This is what I thought of this movie," and put in your review of it?
No. No,
No, I haven't either.
yeah, I
So
don't
it's
take the time to do that because I
like,
don't,
so who's doing that?
yeah, I don't see the website in general as like, oh, I need to put my opinion on there because other people are going to read it and sift through all of the BS that's on there. I don't see that at all. I
Yeah.
think that most people that actually watch movies to enjoy them and critique them and like enjoy film and cinematography, they have their own opinion and they don't really let the critics sway them in general.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately too, like even for this show, so if you're listening to this, like I don't think our reviews or our opinions are going to make or break people wanting to watch movies and shows that we talk about. I think that it's going to be a more of a collective. If you're listening, you're interested in seeing whether or not our opinions line up with your own, or if they differ, right? Like so, I think that ultimately that's going to be more of the purpose for tuning in and listening to every episode or specific episodes about different
I mean,
movies.
I do feel like that's the case with maybe some bigger ones, like the new Thor that's going to be coming out. I think it does not matter what we say about
Yeah,
that.
right.
That someone, if they like Marvel, they wanted to see it, they're going to go see it,
Yeah,
even if we trash the hell out of it or say that we love it.
yeah,
But I think that there are a lot of things. I mean, there's so much content out there between Amazon Prime Video, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, like you name it, there's so many streaming services. There's so many things out there
yeah,
that I think that we're going to surprise some people with some really cool things that they never even heard
yeah.
of or didn't, never even thought to like look in that area, and we're like, bam, and they're going to be like, that knocked my socks off.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you guys.
No, I 100% agree. I think that, and that's also a good point to bring up for anybody that is listening. Obviously, it's our first episode that kind of gives more of an outline of what to expect, but that is something that we plan on doing, having more of a list of movies and shows that maybe you haven't seen on your trending. Obviously the algorithm recommends things to you, and so most of it is going to be things that are being pushed right by that budget, by
Mm-hmm.
the popularity meter, and so a lot of things get kind of swept under the rug, and we like to dig those out, right? But
Yeah.
going back to Rotten Tomatoes really quickly, uh, obviously everybody knows Morbius came out. I guess it's a couple months ago now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be the first to admit that like I was super excited about it because I really like the comic book character. I was super excited to see live screen adaptation. I didn't hate the movie like the general population seemed to have. I thought it was entertaining. I didn't take it seriously, and I think that was super important to not take it seriously, even though they were trying to make it a
Yeah.
serious movie. I didn't take it seriously. I just watched it for what it was. It was not fantastic. The CGI was all over the place. The pacing in the movie was kind of like a roller coaster. Everybody seems to hate on Jared Leto for multitude of reasons. I
Yeah.
don't know whether some of like his allegations with different things are true. I have no idea about that. I don't want to comment on that. I have no idea. I don't know. I tend to enjoy his movies more than others. I think that he's was really good in several of his roles. I didn't think he did a bad job at it, but again, back to Rotten Tomatoes, the point is that on Rotten Tomatoes they gave it a 17%. Okay, the critics gave it a 17%. Now, because it was so memed, okay, it was literally review bombed positively by the community, right? It has a 71% audience score, a 17% critic score, and a 71. Now, you can say, all right, well, that's just because it was a meme, blah, 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 blah. But that is exactly my point, that it can be so swayed, right, by everything that the community does and everything else as far as like reviewers. They can say, all right, well, we can make this movie go really low, we can make this movie really high. On the flip side of that, Captain Marvel was a 79% critic score, which I don't think was too far off, because I actually really enjoyed Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But because everybody hates Brie Larson, yes,
Yeah.
it has a 45% audience score. Okay, so that audience score has nothing to do with the movie itself. Okay.
Yes.
At all, right? Like, that audience score does not have anything to do with whether the movie was good or bad. It has everything to do with the fact that it was review bombed against Brie Larson. So those two examples are very polarizing in the way of the community and critics can easily sway what the score looks like, right? And I think that that's important. And not that you or I, or maybe most of the people that would be listening or watching, would look at Rotten Tomatoes and go, okay, I'm definitely going to see this movie, or I'm definitely not going to see this movie. I just think it's important to like put out there that these are the people that are getting paid professionally to review these movies, and it's not 100% genuine.
Yeah.
Or accurate.
And I mean, and I don't think that that's fair to anyone out there. You know, we're going to give the truth. We're going to put all our biases aside some of the times, and probably half the time, you know, to really talk about these things or whatever. But yeah, it's an absolute mess where that stuff's concerned. I hate it so much.
But as far as, you know, going to I guess a little bit more about like our background or why we feel we're qualified to give reviews or to put our opinions out there. Obviously, it's a free country; we can do whatever we want anyway. But as far as movies go, why don't you just mention a couple of the movies that you really like that like stand out as far as that goes?
There's so many amazing movies. Like there's so many. So it's like anytime, you know, especially when doing something like this, it's like really crunching and going like, okay, I'm gonna pick out my favorites, and it generally I go back to the ones that I feel like, you know, had the biggest impact on me. Which ones did I really fall in love with? Especially which ones have I seen more than one or two times? I generally have not been a watch the same movie multiple times kind of person. There's only been a few that I've really done that with. Of course, my first one being Fight Club. Fight Club was, I saw that at my late teens, and that was a very crazy time to watch such an influential movie that, it knocked my socks off. And I could do a 10-hour podcast on that.
Just that movie?
I've seen that movie probably close to 100 times. I've read the book, or, you know, watched the commentaries. Like, I've met Chuck Palahniuk, like all those different things. So it's that one is.
What about that is like makes it stick out for you? Like, what about that movie is like that's my favorite movie of all time?
I think just the way that movie made me rethink who I am and what the world is. Like there's been a few movies that have done that throughout time, you know, like with something like The Matrix, that it hits you in the face like a brick, and you're like, have I been thinking about life all wrong? Like, have I been going about things weird? And I know, like, yeah, it was, Fight Club's message is crazy and wild, and I'm not saying, like that's the way that you should live your life or anything. But it did, like it kind of was kind of a waking up, like, you're not your khakis.
Yeah,
Like it, that to me was really interesting. And then, I mean, of course, the way that Edward Norton and Brad Pitt and those guys just in
yeah,
everything kill it. So, like I said, being I can't remember, 16, 17, 8 year old seeing that movie for the first time, I was hooked. And
yeah,
so it always has a special place that, you know, anytime I go back and watch it, it just the old memories and feelings and stuff flood back in. So
sure.
that's why it's always been at my top. That and the very final scene in the movie, with the buildings exploding
Hmm.
and they're holding hands. I have always thought it was one of the most beautiful shot scenes,
Hmm.
like one of the most beautiful love stories ever told. Like it's so cool. I love that one. I love it.
Huh.
Um, yeah.
It's funny because for context, right? We've been friends a long time.
Hmm.
Um, Whenever we were putting together like our top five, I knew that out of our entire top five, there would only be one movie that was in both of our top fives
Hmm.
that like that made the list, right? Um, I think that if we expanded that list out to 10, maybe 20, that there would be a lot in there, right?
Yeah.
But our top five is very, very, very different. I like. I'm not taking anything away from Fight Club.
Hmm.
I just have never connected with it in that same
Yeah.
level that you're talking about. Um, my number one, and the same kind of, I guess, uh, moment or watching it and going, wait a minute, and it's a little cliche, right? But Inception was that for me.
Yeah.
That same, you watch it at the end and go, wait, like what if this is not real? Like, what if all of this is just,
When a movie makes you really rethink your life and question your own reality, I think it's doing a good job.
yeah,
Like, I mean, like you said, with like a Morbius or whatever, you're gonna watch that and you're gonna be entertained.
yeah,
You're gonna see some fight scenes, some funny CGIs. There's great actors. It's got a big budget, so it's gonna be decent in some ways. But you're not walking away from it going like, it's the world. Have I been thinking about things wrong? Like
yeah,
here I am, almost 40, and it's like I've never thought about this before. Like what is going on? Yeah. So when movies hit me that way, it's always super fun. I like walking away from something with my mind blown, you know.
yeah. And it's funny because as I mentioned, there's only one movie that's on both of our lists.
Hmm.
Mad Max, right, the new one, Fury Road with Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
And I think that probably both for the same reasons. Obviously, Tom Hardy is just fantastic in everything that he does.
Yeah.
But the music in that movie, the cinematics in that movie, I mean, they to be able to very much like Dune was recently, to be able to make a movie that is mostly sand
Yeah.
look beautiful, like shot that way, is
Hmm.
phenomenal. And I think that plays a little extra part in why it made my top five.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just round out the rest of my list for clarity. So, Inception, and I did say Inception. Oh, that's my number one, but I only say that because that had that same moment for me as you had for Fight Club. Not
Yeah.
that necessarily it is my like favorite movie of all time, but Inception, Mad Max is in there for sure. V for Vendetta,
Hmm.
highly influential. Is the same thing. Like when I saw that, I was like, man, I didn't ever really thought of history, and obviously like the it's a graphic novel, and the actual story is a little skewed and the whole nine yards, not really
Yeah.
history, but the same like concept of like thinking about history in a more than just I'm American and I'm patriotic, but for like why, right? And
Yes.
like you mentioned, whenever something makes you ask questions, it's
Hmm.
like well, that was the purpose, right? You watch it, and then that's the
Yeah.
purpose of it. So like, you are also thinking about your own actions and your own state of reality, and you're just like, oh, okay, this is what that was for.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, like with documentary, like I enjoy documentaries, but sometimes they can be a little bit slow, be a little bit,
Boring.
I don't know, slow. Yeah, it's just it. And so when something is able to kind of, tell a story in a way that I feel like I learned something and I have new things maybe that I want to look into or research or dive it, all that kind of stuff. Um, I like that.
Yeah.
I think that that's when they've done a good job if they've really inspired me to dig deeper and whether it's dig deeper into the world or dig deeper into myself and
Mm-hmm.
ask myself these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Blade Runner 2049 also made my list. Again, that one almost more for the cinematics and
Yeah,
the colors and the shots, and it's just a very visually stunning movie, right? Like
it's
and I do
gorgeous.
like the story a lot. I think it's an excellent sequel to a classic cult movie, but that, and then I just couldn't leave out the Lord of the Rings out of the top 5.
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, they're all like so close to just being, you know, I think part of favorite movies has to be rewatch value, and
Mhm.
I can watch the Lord of the Rings or Star Wars movies over and over and
Oh
over
yeah.
again. Um,
Yeah.
Specifically for Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, I think is like, I mean, they're all good, right? But
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars and Indiana Jones were my entire childhood.
yeah,
My grandparents had literally 6 VHS, and it was the Star Wars trilogy and the Indiana
the
Jones trilogy. So when we went over to their house, they literally had no other movies to watch.
yeah,
And that was fine because, I mean, what better
right,
6 VHS to have
yeah,
than those? I mean, so, I mean, I have seen a billion times,
yeah,
and every time still enjoy it. If it was on TV right now,
hundred percent.
I'd be walking through the room and I'd turn and be like, Indiana Jones, all right, yeah. And
Yeah,
I'd sit down and
I
watch
mean,
it. Like it's
yeah,
just great.
there's so many like I can just picture the different classic moments in
Oh
Indiana
yeah.
Jones. Whenever the guy does he's fighting in the bazaar and the guy does the sword and the knife tricks, whatever, and
Yes.
then he just pulls out the gun and shoots him. Oh my goodness,
Hmm.
it's just like there's so many classic. I don't know if it's true or not, but just a fun little trivia thing about that. I read somewhere that scene was improvised because Harrison Ford had gotten so tired of doing like all of the choreographed fighting and punching and everything like that he was just like and just did that like as a
See, I
like,
heard it was because he was a little bit under the weather.
okay, so maybe
And
so you
so
read something else too, but
yeah.
I read that he just didn't, he was just tired of fighting, like doing the physical stuff, and then just
All right. So
pulled
if
the
any
gun.
of our viewers know Harrison Ford, can you
Yeah,
just ask
can you
him
ask if
and
that was
then
real
get
or
back?
not?
That would be great.
That's what I read, but hey,
Yeah.
but just yeah, moments like that. What else is on your list?
Um, let's see. Snatch.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Guy Ritchie. Snatch. I'm going with Snatch as my favorite Guy Ritchie movie, even though everything that dude touches,
Yeah.
I fall in love with. And I think that was because Snatch was, I think it may have been the first one I saw from him. I think I saw that one, then I saw Lock, Stock,
Mm-hmm.
and Two Smoking Barrels. Since then, every single thing that he's put out, like I can't wait to see it. Like when
Yeah.
he was putting out Wrath of a Man or The Gentleman, or
Mm-hmm.
like I was hopping on those things so fast.
Do you think that it has
Um,
something to do with the fact that he uses a lot of the same actors? And like you just like get accustomed to like that group of people. It's kind of like Christopher Nolan, right? Like Christopher Nolan's,
yeah,
he uses like he reuses the same actors a ton throughout his movies, and so like you get kind of familiar with those people, and then you're just like, oh, well, I know what kind of movie and like what style it's going to be, and then you just like it.
I think it's more the style than it is. I mean, like, yes, I love all the actors. But when I fell in love with Snatch, I hadn't seen any of the other ones. And I was watching Snatch with my friends it was like we'd hang out on the weekends and we'd literally watch it again.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, that movie has so many just storylines that are going like this, and then all of a sudden, like characters are crashing into each
Right.
other, and like storylines are weaving and moving. So that was wild and crazy because you're following all these different stories that are all insane, and then you're seeing how they're all getting intertwined
Yeah.
and they're all mixed up together. That was great. The dialogue in his movies, the amount of quotes that
Yeah.
you get from a Guy Ritchie movie is just, I mean, there's at least 100 quotes from Snatch that each and every one is just, man, that's good. Like that's really, that's, it's such gold. Like you always want to quote it, you know, there. Oh yeah. So Guy Ritchie movies, Snatch being my favorite, most likely because I saw that one first. Because I'd be interested to see like if I had gone back and seen some of the other. I mean, because Snatch was done what in the 90s, I think, maybe early
Snatch, I want to say
2000s.
was like 2001.
Yeah. So I mean,
2000. So I was close.
okay. So like, but if you look at something like The Gentleman, done with a much bigger budget,
Sure.
video quality is much cleaner, sound quality is much cleaner, and all that. That, you know, sometimes that has an effect on when you go back to watch a movie. I mean, so there's sometimes when I'm scrolling through movies trying to figure out what I want to watch. There are sometimes where it's hard for me to go back to the 90s and watch a movie I had never seen before because I know it's going to be lower quality.
Sure.
And those kind of things. So sometimes that kind of stuff bothers me. But I was, again, around the same age that I saw Fight Club. I was around that 16, 17, 18. Let's see.
2000.
2000. No, 2015.
2015.
Yeah.
When it came
So
out. If you saw it whenever it came
I
out
probably,
in theaters.
I did not see it in theaters.
No.
I know that for sure. So yeah, I mean, so it was probably like the early 2000s that I saw it, and yeah, that one was just, it was so much fun. That one was such a fun, you know, friend movie,
Yeah.
where there's a whole different aspect to watching movies when you're watching them by yourself and when you're watching them with your friends and your friends are all laughing along. You guys are all quoting the movie together. Everyone talks about the whole thing, but you don't care because you've all seen it 20 times.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff is a blast.
Sure.
But enough about that. I can talk Guy Ritchie movies for 10 hours again. So I guess let's see. So my last two are going to be zombie movies.
Nice.
But very, very different. On the darker side of things, 28 Days Later.
Sure.
That was one that just knocked my socks off as far as like not thinking about differently about the world and like that, like we talked about earlier, but just more of the way that it was shot, the soundtrack to that one. I mean, that one of those opening scenes where he's walking down, walking across like
the
the bridge.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah,
nobody.
and the soundtrack starts going. All of London is complete. I'm getting like chill bumps right now talking about it. Like it's so well done, and I think that was one of the first times. I know horror people are going to jump all over me, but it to me it was one of the first times where we saw zombies like running after people and actually being terrifying, as opposed to like a lot of the stumbling along zombies. Like the way that they were in 20 Days Later was.
It was like
crazy.
rabies, right? Like it was more like
Yeah.
like a rabies virus than like your traditional
Raise from the dead zombie.
Into the undead and just kind of like limp along. I think that had a lot to do with it, and it definitely is not the first time that zombies were like portrayed like that, but definitely I mean, I agree with you in the way that it was portrayed was a lot more visually jarring, because you were just like, this feels more like a pandemic kind of like end of the world situation, and less like well, that's never going to happen, zombies aren't real, you know what I mean? Like it felt a lot more like that, which I think made it a lot scarier.
Yeah, that one knocked my socks off, and ever since then, Danny Boyle, I believe, is the guy that did that one. Like that was Cillian Murphy, like followed him. Inception.
Yeah. Well, see, but Cillian Murphy, Christopher Nolan. Like
Yeah.
he was in Batman, he was
Mm-hmm.
in Inception, he was in which one of the newer war movies I think he was in. It's either was it 1917 he was in? I think I don't remember. It's one of those.
Yeah.
Um, I can actually look while you're talking about the other one, but yeah,
Yeah.
same kind of thing.
But yeah, that movie I think introduced me to him,
Sure.
which went down a rabbit hole with him. I everything that he's been in, Peaky Blinders, all that kind of stuff. It's been incredible. But then Danny Boyle, all of his other stuff that he's put out, like Sunshine, knocked my socks off. Was
Hmm.
done so well. Um, the other zombie movie, though, of course,
Dunkirk, not 1917. It was Dunkirk. Was the other
okay,
one. Yeah, so I knew it
yes,
was one of those.
one of those. You know, some shoot 'em up, old
Yeah.
timey, dead bunch of dead people, a long time
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Who
war
cares?
movie. That's yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Uh, Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
Shaun of the Dead, as far as
You got
rewatch
red on you.
quality, like, I mean, so yeah, hilarious quotes. The way that, the two main characters, Sean Pegg and Nick Frost,
Yeah.
their their buddy comedy, the way that they mix it.
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg,
Yeah.
yes. The way that they work together,
Mm-hmm.
freaking fantastic.
That was
I mean,
shot very
there's
much like a Guy Ritchie movie, like the quick cuts back and
yes,
forth, and the quick audio, the dialogue back and forth, and like the multiple shots and everything like that.
yeah,
Very, very familiar.
doing things that they do things in the beginning, then tied them back in
Yeah.
later, where it was like you'd hear this song and then that song would pop up
Yeah.
later. You'd hear someone say you got red on you, and there would be someone else saying it later. Like it was just, it was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's done so well, and it was just absolutely hilarious. Just hands down. Anytime you could go, do you want to watch this movie? Yes, I want to watch that
Yeah.
movie. It's so much just utter fun.
Yeah, I think
And
that was the
I
first
need that.
time that I saw Simon Pegg in something, and it's funny because like I just whenever they released the teaser for the new Mission Impossible movie that comes out
Yeah.
next year, I was like, oh, I want to rewatch the other Mission Impossibles. I haven't seen them in a while, so I like watched through them all, and like Simon Pegg got a kick started, like a jump start from around that era of Shaun
Yeah.
of the Dead. I think he was in things before that, but he was also acting and directing. I think he was maybe even a director of that movie.
I
Or
think
one of the
I think
writers?
that yeah, I think
Him
that
and the other guy?
they both had a lot to do
Yeah,
with
because
it.
then
Yeah,
they
Nick
did
Frost.
They did
They did Hot Fuzz
after that.
and
Uh,
some other ones.
yeah.
You can tell which one's our favorite that they did.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Shaun of the Dead was a
was too
freaking
classic.
masterpiece.
Yeah, too
it's
classic.
it's a masterpiece in comedy, especially if you like things a little bit darker
Yeah.
and gory. Like it's perfect.
Well, that's a pretty good top five. I just think it is.
I mean,
kind
I
of-
think it's perfect.
I think from your
The
point of
perfect
view,
top
it
five.
is the perfect top five. I think it's just interesting that although our tastes align, we only have one movie that overlaps in the top five. I think that's good because that means that we're gonna have a very good a broad net of what to watch and what to like. And speaking of what to watch, I'd like to quickly go through some of the things that are out right now. That like I'm saying, hey, you should watch this. It's either out in theaters or it's out on a streaming service. And then I'd like to talk about some things that are coming out that we're gonna either at least mention, review, things that we'll see, and we'll talk about briefly. So I kind of have a what to watch right now list, and some of which you may have already seen. I'm sure you've maybe seen a lot of, but maybe anybody listening maybe has seen or hasn't seen. Just to go through some of the stuff that's on right now. The Obi-Wan show just started. It's 3 episodes in. It's receiving critical acclaim, both good and bad. So we'll just leave it at that.
I'll be starting that one soon.
Stranger Things season 4, the part 1 is out,
Mm-hmm.
and I
It's a hidden gem. I don't think most people know about that one, but
that's a good one.
we recommend it.
Well, yeah, no, we do. We recommend it. Doctor Strange, if you haven't seen that yet, I don't know if you're under a rock. Under a rock. It's fantastic. The Northman that came out a couple months ago. It's fantastic. It's one that I think we're going to be talking about, doing a review on, even though it's been out for a while, because it's a very,
So why not?
it's a very talkable movie. I think.
Yeah.
Moon Knight. If you didn't watch that, you missed it. It's a very very cool look at bipolar disorder or personality disorder through a superhero. So very cool if you haven't seen that. I personally haven't seen yet, even though I'm rocking the Maverick mustache. Top Gun is out, and it is getting just every accolade possible. It's being called the best action movie of the century, and I mean, and not just like a paid critic saying this is the best action movie. I'm talking like everybody is saying,
which is crazy because out of everything that you mentioned, like
know.
it's not that I don't like Top Gun, or not that I didn't grow up in the '80s.
I used to
and
say
wasn't familiar with
I
it,
used
but
to
it's
say
like
that the original Top Gun was my favorite movie.
But it's
because it's just so classic and so good.
It's probably really far down on my list of things to watch. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that all these people are like, I mean, it's starting to break like box office records and all this kind of stuff. It's like, who is going to see this? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Maybe I'm showing that I have bad taste.
Maybe, I don't know. One of the biggest reasons I want to see it is for all of the intensive flight training and the hours and hours and hours of footage that they had to film in these fighter pilots.
Yeah.
They filmed so much footage for the movie in the planes and doing all kinds of crazy things. Stunts that I think the director said that they had to get clearance to fly. It was, I think, under 50 feet off the ground for one shot, and it's never gonna be done again because it's extremely dangerous or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was something crazy. Like it was very 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 close to the ground that they filmed a shot on. But yeah. So even though I haven't seen it yet, I'm still throwing it out there and what to watch because I can't see so many people that I know that I actually would take their opinion on something, say this is fantastic, you have to see it, and have it be disappointing. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at with that.
I get it.
Also, the Batman. I mean, it's been months now, but if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. It's a completely different take on Bruce Wayne and Batman, and it's worth the watch. Love, Death, and Robots. Their new season came out. That's something that if you aren't on that trend, you need to start at season 1 and watch through them. Super cool concept.
Yeah.
Each episode is a different art style. It's a different writer, artist, director, the whole 9 yards. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
What else? The Boys season 3 is out. I know that you're a big fan of that show. That's out right now. And then some honorable mentions that I just at least want to say, hey, this year this stuff came out. And I think if you haven't watched it, it's not really hidden gems per se, because we're going to save that for another episode that we're just going to talk about things that we think you should watch. But things from this year, Death on the Nile was a super cool mystery thriller. If you like things like Knives Out, where it's a very whodunit kind of drama.
So did you see Death on the Nile? Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. Yeah. Okay. And so I have not seen that one yet.
Yeah, I'm saying that you should see it. This is the
well.
list
Hold on. So I have a story with this one, so it's interesting. So I love Knives Out.
Yeah,
that was a fantastic movie. I watch movies with my family, with my parents all the time. I was like, Knives Out is an awesome movie. I think you guys will like it. We sat down, we watched it. They love Knives Out. Okay. My parents have a weird kind of taste in movies and stuff like that, so I have to be very picky when I'm recommending stuff.
Sure.
Like my top 5, I would not recommend any of those to them, except my dad loves Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
But other than that,
that's a weird one. But all right.
Yeah. So it's but I know what kind of genre stuff that they like. And so when I saw the trailer for Death on the Nile, with Gal Gadot, and all this stuff, I was like, ooh, this feels very Knives Out. It looks like it's very pretty the way that it was shot and everything. And so I told my parents, I was like, I have not seen this yet, which I preface all my stuff if I'm
Sure. If
giving
you have, yeah,
recommendations
if you
based on
haven't
movies
seen
I
it.
haven't seen. And I was like, I haven't seen this, but I was like, it feels very much like that one that we watched, Knives Out. It's got your girl in it because my mom loves Wonder Woman
Yeah.
and all that. And they watched it and they were like, it was okay.
Really?
And I was like, huh. I was like, I'm not I'm not usually wrong, even if
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, just because I know like what kind of stuff that they like. Like
Gotcha.
I saw the trailer for the new what is it? The Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum movie.
Oh yeah,
What
The
was
Lost
what was
City.
Yes. I saw the trailer for that and I immediately told my parents, I was like, this is your kind of movie. And of course I nailed it with that. My mom
Yeah.
was like, I never laughed so hard in my life. It was perfect. Thank you. And
Nice.
that kind of thing. So and I hadn't seen it, but I know
What they
the
like.
kind of stuff that
Yeah.
they like.
Yeah.
So when I saw the trailer for Death in the Nile, I was like, this seems like one that they're gonna like. And they hit me back with, it was just okay. And I was like,
Oops.
all right, what I do wrong? I was like, I don't know. So the fact that you're recommending it though makes it seem like I know your style, that it actually I would probably like it more than what my parents would
Yeah.
because of certain elements.
And I don't want to
they
say
don't
like
get.
again. I'm prefacing all of these movies that I'm saying that are honorable mentions with a like. I'm not saying that these are the best movies ever. I'm not even saying that like I would rate them as extremely good, right? But I like I think they deserve a watch.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. So Death on the Nile. I think that what else? Let me see. So Death on the Nile was one. A movie X. It's a horror movie that came out I think last month or the month before. It's very shot very indie footage, but it has a creepy kind of backstory and it's just like it's pretty raw. It's definitely worth a watch. In surprising news, Ambulance, the new Michael Bay movie.
I watched it.
Did you? What'd you think?
I did. It was fun.
I don't think I'd use the word fun.
You wouldn't use fun?
No, no. I mean, it was exciting.
Exciting. I mean, to me, I shoot 'em up movies and all that kind of stuff, like heist, robbery. I call those fun. So I was going with that. I tend to like movies where the people performing heist or whatever think the same way that I do. Where like if they're constantly making mistakes on their heist in the way that they're going to escape and get their freedom, if they're constantly making poor decisions, it irritates me a little bit. And
Yeah.
I felt like that
Yeah.
they're doing that a little bit where I was like, why didn't you just do this? If you'd just done this, you could have gotten away scot-free.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what are you doing? But it's like, the movie has to continue. You knew it was Michael Bay when you were going into it.
Right.
The drone
Yes.
shots
Very
were
cool.
very cool. I
Very cool.
enjoyed that kind of stuff. You could tell that it was like Michael Bay was really impressed
Yeah,
with it because
yeah.
he kept trying to throw him in, and you're
Yeah.
like, I've seen you do the same drone movement like 3 times.
You know
And
that
it's like,
that was a 19-year-old kid that he.
yeah, it was
that
like a
he,
kid doing
yeah.
it. Yeah, I watched that little thing on
Yeah.
it. Which I mean, and like I said,
Very
it was
cool.
a talking point for me. I even told my parents when I watched it with them, I was like, check out these shots. These are done by this
Yeah.
kid using a drone. Yeah, so that was one of those things. Like it was, like I said, fun. So I don't know why fun is a bad.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Picture for
I
the
wouldn't
movie.
call it fun.
right.
All right. So that's like again, I think worth a watch. The new Scream was definitely worth a watch.
Haven't seen that.
Super cool.
Mhm.
Studio 666, which
So
I'm
that's
I'm surprised
Dave
you
Grohl
haven't.
one, right?
Yes, I'm surprised you haven't watched it yet.
I don't even know what streaming service is that on. That's what I need to find because
I'm not. I don't know. Maybe
I need to look
maybe
that
it's
up.
on a underground streaming service.
yeah, I just
Cough,
need
cough.
to. Well, I just need to look because a lot of times, like when I go on like my HBO or Netflix or whatever, like different ones will pop up, and I remember seeing the trailer that one's going to be coming out, and then it literally, I didn't see it or hear about it again for a while, and so I'd forgotten about it until you just mentioned it now.
Black Crab is a Netflix movie with Noomi Rapace. The French lady. She's been in a bunch of stuff. It
Hmm.
was very cool. It was. I don't want to like give too many details
She the
away, but
one
it
in the
was
girl with the dragon tattoo?
no,
That girl?
no. No,
What's that
I
one?
don't think so.
Oh no.
She was in. If you look her up, you'll. Oh, you know what? Yeah, she was. She was in that. Yeah. She was 100%. That's her. I'm sorry. I was thinking of somebody else, but yeah, that's her.
Mm-hmm.
Was in like the second Sherlock Holmes. She's in
Yeah,
Prometheus. Anyways, cool
I like her, so
Netflix
I will
movie.
probably watch that one.
Yeah, it's. I
'Cause I
think
like
it's
her.
dubbed. I think it's in French maybe, and then it's English dubbed. But it's
I
it's
think
good.
Netflix gives you the options on those kind of things, so you
Yeah,
can watch in the original language with subtitles,
yeah,
which I find to be fun. I
yeah.
like the immersion.
That's right. That was good. And then also, I think a super underrated show that was on Amazon was Reacher. I don't know if you watched that or not, but
Okay.
it was a
Uh,
better take on the Reacher character.
yes. Okay. And it's got that
Yeah,
big buff dude
yeah,
in it. Okay. Yeah, I've been hearing from different places that it was actually pretty good.
yeah. It was definitely
Um,
like a made for TV kind of like
yeah.
show. You can definitely tell, but it was good. I mean, I
Hmm.
enjoyed it.
Excellent. I will have to check that
Yeah.
out. I also saw in here, and you're not saying it, so I'm wondering if you had a change of opinion on it, was the Midnight Mass.
Oh, so that actually I had it in my what to watch right now, but it's been out so long that I was going to switch it to like the honorable mentions for this year, but 100% it's I didn't definitely didn't have a change of heart.
I
I
stumbled
loved it.
across that one the other day, and I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
really,
think
really
and
enjoyed
actually
that one.
why I wanted to bring it up with you is I think that our upbringing has a very very like big impact in like why we like that. So like
Yeah.
I was watching through it and been like, I've seen all these people. I've met
Yeah.
people like her. I've
Yeah.
literally talked to people that act just like this. This is crazy. And then like
It was
as it
wild.
progressed and like and I don't want to like say anything to like spoiler it because I'm we're not labeling this episode as a spoiler episode, so I don't want to like ruin it. But as the show progressed, like I just was really really like taken by the way that they portrayed their
Mhm.
like the way they did their like villain slash like antagonist, and then how it flips is very cool.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
It was super well done. I was just looking for something to watch one night. I started the first episode and I was like, oh
Yeah.
damn. And then I was burning through,
So
just burning through
that,
those
and if I
episodes.
could be wrong, I don't think I am, but I'm pretty sure that the director that did Midnight Mass is the same director that did the Haunting of Hill House and the
Okay.
Haunting of Bly Manor. I think,
Okay.
and it would be nice if I actually did my research ahead of time here. Um,
Whatever.
but I'm just gonna look for clarity's sake because I'm pretty sure that it's the same. So Mike Flanagan is the director. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did Midnight Mass. He did Haunting of Hill House. Um, he did the Haunting of Bly Manor. He did one episode of the Haunting of Bly Manor. Okay, so yep, he was also. Looks like he maybe is doing another one soon. So
Nice.
we'll keep
Are
an
you
eye
on
on it.
IMDb? How tall is he?
How tall is he? I don't know. It doesn't say.
It always says on IMDb. If you
No.
scroll down, it's like the trivia
Oh
section.
yeah.
It's like,
Never mind. He's 6 foot. Exactly.
I told you, IMDb always has that goofy information. I like looking through the trivia and the stuff that's
6 foot tall.
that you
He's the
never.
director. Like, there's no reason to even have that.
Yeah, but it's like, listening to, podcasts with different famous people, they're always like, these sites, like, my height's wrong, my weight's wrong, my net worth is wrong. Like, the stuff that has trivia where it's like, this guy's from Miami. They're like, I've never even been to Miami. Like, how did they have this information on these sites? So I always
funny.
think it's funny.
Anyway, so that's what's out right now. That's my honorable mentions for the year so far, or like the past 6 months or so. Things coming up. We have obviously in July the second part of Stranger Things season. The new Jurassic Park comes out very, very soon.
Dinosaurs.
New Umbrella Academy. The new Thor comes out soon. There's a Resident Evil Netflix show that I'm super excited about coming out. And then, there's a bunch of other things that we'll get to. But I think that the overall idea of this episode, if you're still here, thanks for listening all the way to this point, because this one doesn't really, have a, it doesn't have a purpose. Well, it has a purpose, but it doesn't have a movie that you're here for. But hopefully, if you stayed this long, we'll see you next time, right? I mean, that's kind of the idea. If not, that's okay too. Because you know why? We hope you hate it.
Yeah.
And just for some clarity too, I used to have that attitude about anything that I created, because everything that I did, I always wanted to keep the mentality that I was only doing it for myself. And so just like these movie reviews, it doesn't matter if you agree or not. It's all about having an opinion.
We're just trying to convince each other shit.
Yeah, exactly. I think you should watch this. No, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for the inaugural Hope You Hate It show. Thanks for listening. I'm Jack, and he's Josh. See you next time.